like the time. I just kind of switched it up. I switched it up with the timing. Switched it up there. G Cluppy, thank you so much for the 24 months. Congratulations on the brand new, highly exclusive 24-month golden TRRS sub badge. You've earned it. One of the most faithful, loyal, loving community members that we have here, who loves this stream unconditionally. Couldn't be more thankful for G Cluppy's presence in the community. No, it's conditional. Couldn't be more thankful for G Cluppy's presence in the community and persistent support of the stream. Very good stuff. Thank you, G Cluppy. I enjoy the brand new.
You can count on me
highly
and have good
exclusive
old Rob
sub-badge.
to talk you through all this.
CLUPZ.
Thank you, Old Dutch, as well. Old Dutch, the designer of this incredible Rousseau Institute hoodie that I'm wearing right now, which you can purchase using the exclamation point merch link in the chat. Thank you, Old Dutch, for all the support and 20 months of tier 2 from Old Dutch. Thank you, sir. Golden Triangle members enjoy complimentary beverages in the Elite Lounge pre-stream. That's correct, yeah. We don't talk about what gets said there or what gets discussed. You know, that's between us. That's between the privileged, highly elite, exclusive Golden Triangle members. But it's if you remember the stream before this stream, oh boy, that was pretty wild. That got pretty wild in there. But we don't need to get into the details of that. We do not need to get into the details of that, folks. But if you want to get into the Elite Lounge pre-stream, you simply subscribe to this channel for 24 months to get that Elite badge. My triangle just came in the mail. It's bronze. That's the TRRS participation trophy. Congratulations, Goat's Head. You got it. You earned it. The official participation trophy. I've heard the seltzer water in the lounge makes everyone look younger and feel stronger. That's correct, as well as the drugs. Let's not forget about that either. I'm just gonna munch my apple here. Didn't eat. I keep forgetting to eat. Rob's back on the menu, boys. That's right. I keep forgetting to eat before the stream. I was just editing the Insurgents podcast, where we talked to Tom from the band Stray from the Path. Excellent, very cool hardcore band. We had a great discussion with him. Yeah, it's apple time for me, although I didn't bring a knife. I thought I'd go just analog style with this apple today. But you know what happened last night, though, is I was editing this podcast so I wouldn't have to do it this morning. I was working on it last night, so I wouldn't be rushed in the morning trying to finish editing that and doing the stream. And then after doing like 45 minutes of work editing this thing, and there were some audio problems which took some time to blast out there. My computer was running out of space, so I deleted a bunch of old podcast files, including the data files, because you record on Audacity and then it makes a data file with all the sound files in it, sometimes 4 or 5 big sound files, which eats up a lot of memory. So I deleted a bunch of that, including the data for the episode that I was currently working on that I had not backed up. And I deleted it to the recycling bin, emptied the recycling bin, and I just watched the WAV files on the program that I was using just vanish in front of me. And I was just like, just one of those moments. One of those moments when I was like, you briefly start to panic about it, but you're just like, it's over. It's over. I started thinking about like, oh man, what? I started Googling like, can you rescue things from recycling bin? And I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm not even going to think about this. It's over. It's gone. It's gone. There's nothing I can do. I moved right to acceptance right away. Totally calmly It was just like, all right. Well, that's gone. So I had to do all that again this morning. That's why I'm a little bit behind schedule. But it's all right. It's all right. It's all finished. Water under the bridge. Is this Mexico-Poland game over? Was it really a 0-0? Yet another exciting 0-0 finish at the old World Cup. This is exactly why I watch soccer all the time. That's why I'm a big fan. It actually was a pretty entertaining game, but 0-0 is kind of like... That's not the ideal outcome. It's still kind of exciting. But, you know, I really wanted to hear the Telemundo goal. I really, really wanted to hear that if Mexico scored, so... That was kind of unfortunate. Hey, Comrade Social Distancing, what's up? You didn't miss anything. We're just getting started here. It was a pretty good stare to start the program, though. I'll tell you that. Is it true they're having the World Cup in a stadium built by slaves? That seems normal. Not only that, but like many thousands of people, thousands of migrant workers died in this process, building these stadiums. It's something we talked a little bit about on this podcast, which I just finished editing, which should be released any moment now. Where like, it's hard to know where the line is, where to criticize. It's obvious where to criticize, because like obviously in Qatar in the World Cup, there's legitimate things to criticize about the process of constructing these stadiums. This horror of these migrant workers dying in this process, building this stuff. In addition to the other human rights issues like in Qatar and these other Gulf state monarchies, which are all legitimate issues. The question is, turns out working in 50 degree and up heat is dangerous for humans. Yes, it is. It is indeed. The question is there hypocrisy in people from Canada and the United States criticizing this? They're not just criticizing it, but kind of going that next step and saying like, how can the players even go? How can anyone watch this? How can you do? And, you know, that's where it gets kind of tricky, because it's not that you want to whitewash any horror that happened in the construction of these stadiums or any of the very real problems in places like Qatar or these, like I said, these Gulf state monarchies. At the same time, obviously, Canada, the United States, these Western countries also guilty of a litany of human rights crimes, which go on a daily basis throughout the world. Much of our infrastructure, especially in the United States, also constructed by slave labor and slavery. Our whole countries are built on this foundation of genocide. Our whole countries are built upon these settler colonialist countries are built upon a giant graveyard of indigenous people who are victims of genocide in this process. So yes, there's hypocrisy there, I think. And where's that line? You know what I mean? Where's that line between let's talk about the horror of what happened in Qatar in this World Cup process, while also not pretending that the West is somehow morally superior, really, or that our values are so enlightened that we can sort of try to take this kind of moral high ground. It's hard to know where that line is, because I think we should criticize Qatar and we should criticize the World Cup, but like, let's not pretend in the West that we're not guilty of also many of the same things. As always, when we're talking about human rights, guilty of many of the same things that we're accusing these countries of doing as well. I hate that line of criticizing the criticism. People are criticizing a specific event whose specific facilities were built with slave labor within the last 10 years. That is true. Yeah. That is very true. And that's what I mean, too. It's like we have to be able to acknowledge that. I mean, we get the same criticism when we get the same commentary when we talk about Israel or when we talk about Saudi Arabia and human rights problems there. Well, who are you to judge? Like, who from the West? That is true. The West is guilty of horrible crimes too. We should be able to do both, though. I think we should be able to talk about apartheid in Israel, or human rights crimes in Israel, or human rights crimes in Saudi Arabia. While also, I think it's when people, I guess the difference is, right, is when people take on this like Western exceptionalist mindset while doing so. And ignore the history of the countries that we grew up in, the societies that we grew up in. Right? That is the problem. Like on a lesser level, Canadians do this when we talk about America sometimes. Not me, obviously, because I'm one of the good ones, as you know, but Canadians do this as well. They take this like a Canadian exceptionalist mindset. When we talk about the horrors of the United States, we say, well, thank goodness none of that stuff happens here, while totally ignoring our own history, totally ignoring our own role in upholding this kind of like Western hegemony throughout the world, and our role in perpetuating colonialism, at here and abroad, and our role in committing genocide, that kind of stuff. That's where I think the problematic thing is when we I think I'll simply shit on both Qatar and the West. I think that's a good way to do it, Squatch. I think that's a good way to do it. You can both criticize Qatar, but also be aware the same criticism won't be raised when the next World Cup happens in the US or Canada or Mexico. Yeah, that's right. And it's our role, I think, to make those criticisms when it does appear in these other countries. Like another example of this in the World Cup right now, we talked about this on the podcast as well, is Iran. And with the ongoing protests in Iran that have been happening for weeks and or going on months now, which we've talked about on the show a little bit. And this kind of like singling out Iran as being this, Iran, of course, home to these terrible human rights violations and protests, and these people kind of like playing the body language experts talking about the players and the facial expression experts saying, is this a subtle form of protest from these Iranian players? And just talking about these people in a way that they would never ever do when it comes to people in Canada or when it comes to the United States. Like we saw that in the Olympics in China as well, of course, which we talked about plenty on the show. All this, how no one would ever, you introduce like Team USA basketball team and be like, America, of course, home to a brutal police state, the world's largest prison system, where political prisoners and victims of the drug war are torn from their families, and its role in upholding imperialism and invading other countries. Of course, this would never fucking happen. We'd never say, we must demand American athletes answer these questions, these tough questions, as we do with Chinese athletes or with Iranian athletes or whoever else. We must demand, like, we need to talk to fucking LeBron James about the crimes of the numerous crimes of the U.S. government. Do you denounce these crimes, sir? Before you, or are you just like upholding this American propaganda? Like this is how we talk about Chinese athletes, or we talk about Iranian athletes in the World Cup, and we never ever had talk about American athletes like this. What if LeBron actually denounced the crimes, though? That would rock. It would. I think it would be cool if American athletes were forced to denounce the United States government every time they gave an interview. I think they should be able to. They should do that. I'm sure it weighs heavy on their minds that if their Olympic career ends here, they'll live in destitution in the brutal the American regime. Exactly. Like it's amazing the way we talk about things. These other countries, and we think that it's normal. America, of course, home to the brutal notorious Rikers Island facility, where predominantly black and brown marginalized groups are held for months or years at a time with no trial. Many people killed every single year, people dying by the dozens in this notorious torture prison. You know, it's like we should talk about America like that, but we don't. I used USCN because we always use some weird term that people in these countries never use to describe themselves. Yeah, for sure. Zeroing in on Qatar or the specific World Cup or the human rights records of these Middle Eastern states while ignoring the whole context behind why these conditions exist isn't the play for dialectical materialists. We need to differentiate from the regular liberal intrigue and chauvinism that drives the rhetoric. Well put, Sam, as well. And like others were saying, we should probably look at why do these Gulf state monarchies exist in the first place? Well, much of them, like, they actually are there, and these crimes are allowed to continue because of the support and because of the constant meddling in these regions by Western colonialism and imperialism. We should probably pay attention to America's role in upholding these Gulf state monarchies in the first place. Whatever you do not ask Kyrie about Israel, though. The coverage is being seen as in Islamophobia. Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah. I've seen a lot of that. And I don't know, that might be part of it. Like I said, I think for me, the difference is when you criticize a place like Qatar while ignoring the Western role in propping up these kinds of places, these kinds of repressive regimes, while pretending that you live in some kind of like enlightened,
good old Rob to
moralistic Western liberal democracy. Like, that's
and
bullshit.
Here we have Team USA, United States most famously known for their high rate of incarnation and lack of basic material needs. Let's see what Team USA has to offer in this year's World Cup.
That's exactly it. That's exactly right, Red Wizard. Thank you. Thank you for the 14 months of Tier 1 and all as well. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I would actually love to hear sports commentary describe America in this way. I'd like a ruling on that Qatar pronunciation. I believe it's Qatar, right? I believe that's what it is. Am I getting that wrong? Bruce Arthur, no. Bruce Arthur would never do that. We may have had some problems in the past. We made mistakes. I thought it was like Qatar. Qatar. It's not Qatar. No, it's definitely not Qatar. 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 Like that? Is that it? I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to try to do any of that stuff. Qatar sounds good. Qatar, hardly know her. There we go. Almost finished my apple here. Thank you for bearing with me. Very good apple, though. Very good apple. The cut is almost a click from the base of your throat. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to try and attempt any of that stuff. I think if I start trying to attempt that live, especially, that's just going to open up a whole new avenue of problems. Very good Apple stream. This is why I'm a loyal subscriber. Like I said, the Apple ASMR. That's right. That's what I'm offering to people. And of course, I am going to crack open a nice, cold, refreshing Diet Coke. What's everyone's beverage? What kind of beverage you got going on here? What kind of beverage are we working on? Not to be confused with the Keytar. No, that's very different. Very different thing. Chin chin, everyone. I have a Diet Mountain Dew. Very nice. Cherry Vanilla Coke Zero. Very nice. We got a black tea. First time chatter. Fuzzy Simba. Coffee with cream. Love that. I gotta have cream in a coffee. Milk doesn't cut it for me. Milk in the coffee does not cut it for me. I gotta have that cream. I've cut down on the sugar. Coffee, I think for me and for a long time was like a a kind of a sugar delivery system almost. I have cut down on that. It's amazing how much of an impact that made, just cutting down on sugar and coffee. I would notice you'd buy these bags of sugar. Like that's like the primary way that I'm ingesting it. And I would just see these whole bags disappear over like a couple months. And it's just doing that one thing. You cut out literally like a large amount of sugar. So now I just go with cream. Excuse me, a little bit of sweetener. Black coffee only. I'm just too much of a wuss for that. I can't do that. I put a little bit of sweetener. And like I like diet drinks, as you know. That is a very hot take. It is. I mean, it is. The thing is, it is bad for you, the refined sugar. I don't think it's that hot. That's outrageous because it's a common thing to put in coffee. But it is true. It's like I think I've gotten noticeably healthier since just cutting sugar in coffee. I still have sugar in my diet like sometimes, but just cutting that out has improved a lot. I put a little sweetener. Coffee with sugar and cream is delicious. Insane not to admit this. I agree with that. I just put a little cream, a significant amount of cream, a little bit of sweetener. I like just to have a little sweetener to cut the bitterness of it. I usually don't like sweetener in like hot drinks. You get that kind of weird chemically aftertaste, which I don't enjoy, but I just put a little tiny bit. Just a little bit. Apropos of nothing, there was someone on No Pixel sounded just like you. Have you been moonlighting? No, I have not. Believe me, I would let you know about all the different places that I'm out there. Beverage discourse in full swing. Hell yeah, Doc. Hell yeah. You know how we do. I'll add some cream if it's not a light roast. I gotta have that cream. And again, milk doesn't do it for me. I'll never stop drinking caffeinated coffee or vaping nicotine. Yeah, I don't do the nicotine, but caffeine that's not gonna be something I'm gonna be giving up anytime soon. What is No Pixel? It's GTA roleplay. I could do it if they want to have me. I'd be happy to do it. If someone wants to clip this, and if anyone wants my velvet voice, my soothing velvet voice, you have to let them know. Maybe we can do it. My kid would go crazy if I was doing it.
Count on
he loves
me.
Those
You're
GTA
gonna have good
videos.
old Rob to talk you through all this.
I was a black coffee girl my whole life until just recently. A touch of cream and a dash of sugar really rounds it all out.
It really does, lady Cenobite. It really does. But as I said, I am trying to cut down on the sugar, and just taking it out of coffee has been made a big difference in the amount of sugar that I ingest on a weekly basis. It is good though. I can't deny that. No Pixel destroyed Hassan. How so? How did that happen? I have coffee almost every morning, but soda I'm cutting back. I don't drink sugary sodas. I only drink diet soda. And even that I am cutting back as well because I started drinking those bubblies more often. I'm down to maybe one, maybe two sodas a day. And then I'm having a couple of bubblies as well. The Bublé. I love black coffee. Used to be a 4x4 drinker, then I realized I love bitter bitter So black coffee has been it for me ever since. Then I realized I have hell ADHD, so I was slamming insane caffeine for no feeling of change. Yeah, I was self-medicating. He was just too addicted. The cherry buble is very nice, Fuzzy Simba. It's very good. I like the orange as well. He was just too addicted, wasn't covering news very much, and was doing 12 to 16 hour streams of it and still playing off stream. He shirked all responsibilities. Looks back on his tenure with NoPixel as like the worst his health has ever been. I obviously would not have those same problems. I'm someone who traditionally in my life has been very good at, exercising self-control, not an addictive personality in any way. So I don't think that would be an issue for me. This streamer's just built different. Exactly. I would simply play it an appropriate amount of time and then carry on with my other responsibilities. Once when I was in England, I saw iced tea on a menu and was like, I know this isn't common here, but how can they fuck it up? And it was the most vile thing I've ever ingested. There's the whole Southern divide thing. There's like iced tea and sweet tea. I don't want to open up that can of worms. I was going to say can of tea, but then it didn't really work. It didn't really make sense. So ditch that little joke before it came out. There's the whole difference though because then you get it and it's like not sweet. Sweet tea discourse. I know it's a whole problematic thing, isn't it? It's very problematic to even talk about this. Sweet tea would have been fine if it was called iced tea and it was blue. So what is the blue thing? Where is that coming from? What is that? I don't know. I feel like this is dangerous discourse now. This could be the whole stream could just be this now. I'm supposed to be talking about some serious stuff today. It was like blue raz. I can't even describe how bad it was. Sink the island. If it's one of the many reasons that it should just be abolished. England. Quote unquote England. Fan's telephone porch with a straw hat, reaching for a pitcher with clear beads of water clinging to the sides. Grabbing for that sweet, sweet tea. Maybe a little lemon slice in there. If you don't mind, folks, I'm just going to briefly blow my nose. I'm just going to go blow my nose. Okay, it's just going to take 5 seconds. I'll be right back. Just don't go anywhere, okay? Just talk amongst yourselves. Sweet tea versus iced tea. What's the difference? Which is better? Go. Okay, good. Any other CIA agents in here? Oh boy. The CIA once again deploying their online psyops. This time, a couple weeks ago it was like grocery store delivery apps. All this stuff has to be psyops, right? Am I crazy? A couple weeks ago, what is this? Here. A couple of weeks ago is the grocery store. Is it ableist to get mad at someone for berating their gig economy grocery delivery slave? That was it a couple weeks ago. There was something else that was mixed in with that. And it's been chilly now. The chilly discourse. The chilly discourse has been, what is that, day 11 now of Twitter user Chinchillazilla saying, I would like to make my neighbors some tea. Or sorry, I would like to make my neighbors some chili tea. I was once again reading the chat and then commenting at the same time. And having like 2 entire weeks of discourse over that. It's somehow wrong. It's somehow wrong to be like, I would like to cook my neighbors some chili. They literally got ran out. Well, Crimson, I mean, she's been the target of like a lot of like outrage for some incredibly innocuous comments. It's really amazing how just like online clout shit just totally destroys people's brains. So that's the multiple time that she's done. Yeah, because of the pig, because she has a pet pig. And people just got angry that she had a pet pig and had followers on Twitter and had people that were like liking and commenting on the pig. So she's kind of constantly a subject of these kinds of weird, bad faith attacks. It's very strange. It is very, very strange. And now the chili was the latest element of that. And it's like, there was whole giant threads about this. It's somehow wrong to like make your neighbor's chili, and then it transitioned to like, was it chili? What counts as being chili?
To talk you through all this.
Were there carrots in this chili? What was it? What did it qualify? Like there was so many layers to this, and it's still going. Lexi Rose, thank you very much for the 3 months of Prime, the 3 months of Bezos bucks from Lexi. Thank you, Lexi. And this shit has got to be an op, right? It has to be. Do carrots make it a stew? Were there carrots? Some people were mistaking carrots for, what is it, maybe squash. Does squash belong in a chili? That actually, for me personally, that does strike me as kind of an odd choice. That doesn't mean that I don't think she should be like chased off the internet for this. I would like to hear maybe an explanation of what was going on in this chili and some of these choices. That's interesting to me. The Starbucks person was 100% an op, and you cannot convince me otherwise. They were hiding replies that pointed out the workers were wearing masks. Well, it's weird how Starbucks workers have been the subject of this kind of thing. It's like, first of all, you have coming from the Pat Sock crowd. Starbucks workers don't qualify as workers, right? They're not like oil rig workers or truck drivers or whatever. They don't service workers aren't workers. That's the Pat Sock discourse. And then it's striking Starbucks workers are ableist for not masking up at outdoor protests. So we've got a number of different angles coming at Starbucks, striking Starbucks workers here from different online communities. Not like saying striking is bad, unions are bad. Not saying that, but saying, no, we shouldn't support these strikes for these but very leftistly though. I'm very leftistly talking about why we should not support these Starbucks workers' strikes and Starbucks unions. Not that I'm anti-union, of course, right? Not that of course I'm not personally anti-union. It's only that this particular instance, well, they're being ableist for not wearing masks, even though many of them were, and even though there's not a lot of evidence that being gathered outside in ventilated areas with no masks is even really that dangerous, that much of a risk. For people catching COVID or other infectious diseases. But they're ableist for not wearing masks at these protests. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird how this movement to unionize these workplaces, these big corporations, are being framed in this way. From a couple of different angles. I think we're just a very rapidly deteriorating society. That's very true. Everything that I'm talking about is evidence of this. The chili discourse and the Starbucks workers discourse. That could be it as well. Is it an op, or are people just losing their minds? That could be part of it also. Yeah, they're not really workers. Yeah, teachers, nurses, service workers, not workers. That's right. Only like plumbers or whatever. And then it gets into that discourse about what qualifies as the working class, you know? And how you need to appeal to these mythical working class people. And why having solidarity with LGBTQ people, or talking about supporting this attack on trans rights, or talking about social justice. Well, you can't talk about that because that alienates these working class communities. Isn't that weird? Isn't that kind of strange? You're only working class if you bring a tin lunch pail to work. Yeah, and you eat it on one of those like big beams up high on a skyscraper. Only political streamers count as workers. Thank you, Dr. Austin. That's what I was getting at here. That's what I was getting at. Think of the trade-offs. What does it cost capital to interject some wild discourse that disrupts solidarity with striking workers? And again, it's like we don't need to... Not everything is an op. There are people that just genuinely have bad ideas and are starved for attention. That is part of it. But sometimes I do think there might be some nefarious individuals. It's not like I think, like, I would never suggest that anyone that takes part in this discourse is like sitting in the basement of the fucking NSA or whatever, and just in some kind of, and just they're all those people are just doing that. I don't think that. I do genuinely think though that there are people, whether whether it's NSA or the FBI or CSIS or whatever it is, just giving the discourse a little push. Just giving it a little push, you know? And then just kind of sitting back and just watching it and just being like, well, now this is taking up all this space and they're not talking about, you know, X or Y. Think tanks backed with sinister funding? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Workers sit on a big beam held up by a crane and eat lunch. That's right. Or just some McKinsey type union busting firm. For sure. Yeah, it could be private sector as well. For sure. For me, the red flags went up when Taylor Lorenz jumped in for apparently no reason. It's weird to talk about. You know, I've spoken with Taylor Lorenz before. She's been on my podcast before. I'm in some like group DMs with Taylor, and I think I like her as a person. She's done some really good reporting as well on like libs of TikTok, and like she's done genuinely important and brave, I think, reporting, talking about this big tech stuff, talking about some of these right-wing elements, and has become a target for the right for that reason. But then is also jumping into this weird side of this discourse as well. In my opinion, which is kind of inexplicable to me as well. The ableist Starbucks workers camp. I find that kind of odd also. Please get Ken Klippenstein to FOIA both the NAFO fellas and the Chile discourse, and we'll bet on which one is an op. Well, the thing is, conference social distancing, obviously NAFO is an op. Like when there's people like literally in the CIA or in the United States government that are promoting it, it's automatically an op, right? Even if it didn't start out that way. When there's literally CIA agents saying like, I think NAFO is cool, I want to be one of these NAFO fellas, then it becomes an op. Because now there's literally people openly getting involved from the CIA. So that's not even a question. Hey, Starlight, how's it going? Did you see the NAFO anarchist guy who tweeted out how his mom was going to turn off the Wi-Fi if he didn't go outside? Ugh. Yeah. Yes, I did. There's definitely plenty of motivation to smear disability activists who could pose a threat to the COVID is over, go back to work status quo. Well, that's true, Moss World. That's a whole other angle of it. Like, surely you should be able to hold two thoughts in your mind at the same time, though, right? That, like, we should support striking service workers for Starbucks or whatever other Chipotle or whatever other big corporation where these workers are being mistreated. We should support them. We should also not support this rush to pretend that there's no more illness or no more pandemic, and this rush for everyone to unmask and go out back to work. We can be against both of those things, can't we? I think we can like support these striking workers while also recognizing how dangerous that is. You know, I think we can do both. We can do both of those things. Unfortunately, many people only seem capable of doing one. That's the problem. Unions were huge supporters of the Americans with Disabilities Act and lobbied hard for it. That's interesting. That's an interesting angle. You should also just support pickets, even if you don't feel safe attending a picket. Part of it as well, right, GMO, is people that are being like, I want to go get my treats. But rather than just like crossing this picket line to get my treat, I have to come up with some like left-wing woke reason for why I'm doing it. No, it's not that I don't support unions. It's not that I'm crossing a picket line to get my treat. It's because this union is not good or this picket line is not good. And that's why I'm able to do this. That's kind of part of it too, isn't it? People do like doing only one thing only. That's Matt. Like, this is the synthesis. This is the TRRS synthesis. This crazy thing that if for some reason people seem to really struggle with. This idea that like you can, in fact, for whatever reason people tell you that like you have to do one or the other, you can support the LGBTQ community, social and racial justice. You can support these kind of causes. You can also support striking service workers, and you can be a devout, staunch anti-imperialist. And you can avoid you can confront Western imperialism and hegemony at the same time. You can do all these things. There's this idea that if you're an anti-imperialist for some reason, you can't support social issues. You can't support LGBTQ issues, or it's kind of some kind of like part of some Western degeneracy or whatever. No, you can. You can absolutely do that. You can support these marginalized groups, LGBTQ rights, and you can denounce Western imperialism and interference in nations like China or North Korea or whatever. You can do both. You can easily do both of those things. I do it every day. For some reason, it's very tricky though, isn't it? It's very tricky. People have to do one or the other. Yeah, I support disabled people's rights and the right to health care, which is why I wouldn't shop at a coffee retailer who has canceled COVID PTO for their workers and threatened gender-affirming surgery coverage for their workers for unionizing. It's possible to do this. It is possible to do this. Absolutely. Is Mao Pan an example of someone who can't do both? Yeah, he is. Like, that's the whole Pat Sock thing, right? And we've talked about some of these guys before and how sometimes they talk about foreign policy and they'll say things that are true. They'll say things that I agree with. But then they'll somehow suggest, or they'll point to like Western-backed NGOs who use LGBTQ rights as a way to destabilize countries that are official Western enemies, like Iran, like Cuba or China, even though Cuba probably has better LGBTQ rights than the West does at the moment, especially with their updated constitution from the last couple of months. And they'll point out to these kind of real ways this kind of like rainbow imperialism is employed to destabilize other countries. And they'll say, well, then if you support LGBTQ rights, you're supporting that. And you must actually stop talking about trans rights or stop talking about, or used to promote places like Israel. Exactly, Squatch. We saw that with the World Cup discourse, right? In Qatar, I couldn't be making out with my same-sex husband on like a ethnically cleansed beach where we commit apartheid. It's weird. So they point to the way that this is used to promote Western imperialism. And then they'll say, well, you can't, so that means we shouldn't support trans rights. We shouldn't support gay rights. It's Western degeneracy to do that, Yeah, Jackson Hinkle is fully in on this kind of trans panic stuff, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, but also you can't do trag in America without being gunned down. And this is the problem as well, where it's like we lecture other countries about our enlightened values and how we've supported these rights for LGBTQ groups, but we don't really. Some of us do, and some of us correctly do. There's been progress made on an official level in supporting these communities, but it's still a dangerous place. It's still a dangerous place to be part of these communities. Whether you're trans, or whether, like, no matter where you are in the LGBTQ community, it's still a dangerous place, regardless of what efforts are being made to protect these communities and these lifestyles. Yeah, and I did see that the shooter's grandfather is a conservative politician, yes. Which is probably exactly why, even though he was on the radar of the local police for committing serious crimes previously, was still able to go out and purchase a firearm and commit this horrible crime. So that's what I mean. It's like you have these pat socks, or these people who say things that I agree with, frankly, when it comes about imperialism, about Western hegemony and these things. But then they'll take the ways that LGBTQ rights especially are used to promote imperialism in some cases, and use that as an example of why we shouldn't support these rights domestically, which is preposterous. Which is why I say you can do both. You can recognize all of this stuff. It's not hard at all to support the LGBTQ community where you live, and also recognize the way that these issues can be kind of weaponized against official state enemies. You can do both of these things. It's not hard. It's not complicated whatsoever. You can support striking. You can and should support striking Starbucks workers or striking service workers, while also still promoting and supporting disability rights. Right? You can easily do both of these things. Saw somebody on Twitter who said that they should show photos of the shooter all beat up to deter future shooters. I don't see the problem with that, considering that they show that with people that are apprehended at the time, or even folks in accidents. Well, I agree, Weenus, on a certain level. Like, I think you could circulate those kinds of images to dissuade people from carrying out the same crimes. At the same time, many of these mass shooters are killed, many, like, they're all apprehended and put in prison and subject to whatever's going on there. So I would support showing images of some fucking asshole psycho right-wing guy that went and shot up a gay club and got the shit beat out of him by like a Family Guy and a drag queen. I think that's awesome, and we should circulate those images. I'm not convinced that it's going to have much of a deterrent effect on people that want to commit those kind of crimes. But we should do it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it, though. The land back is a Bezos op logic is particularly tortured, for sure. Because there's some like indigenous themed NGO that has some kind of nefarious corporate backing. There's one NGO that uses that kind of language. That's a way to say that, well, we shouldn't support indigenous rights in our own communities, in our own countries. We shouldn't talk about settler colonialism. It was a trans woman, not a drag queen. Well, we can look at the details because I have stuff saved on this. I believe there was the story that I read was that while this guy was being pistol whipped, a drag queen came and stepped on him with high heels. That's the story that I read. Oh, it was a trans woman that beat him up. A performer from the night corrected it. Okay, well, thanks for the update. I hadn't read that, but the same logic applies. Yes, we should pass around those images. I'm not convinced that it's going to have some big deterrent on these kind of attacks, but we should probably still do it anyways. The scary thing to me is how often opposing LGBT plus rights is lumped into this whole anti-globalist stance sentiment with like reactionaries in the USA who support or do these shootings, like celebrating how culturally reactionary leaders like, say, Putin, point to the allowing of trans people to exist as some kind of globalist decadence. It's like the most skull-shatteringly blunt vibes-based reactionary beliefs out there. Yeah, I agree with that, James. Yeah. We see a leader that's like has these kind of really regressive social views and has a horrible record in their own countries, and when they do one thing that maybe pushes back against Western hegemony or imperialism, say that we must support everything about this government as well, or take that as some example that these rights are somehow Western, and it's just bullshit. It's bullshit. Probably a much better deterrent if the stochastic terrorists, stop doing it. Okay, so I mean, it's probably a good way to get into this discourse, I suppose. We talked about beverages for a long time, but I wanted to talk about this this shooting in Colorado and the role that the right plays in encouraging this kind of terrorism and these kinds of mass killings. This is not like an isolated incident. This is something that's been going on for years now. The right-wing media promoting this extremist rhetoric that is getting people killed in a series of dozens of lone wolf mass killings targeting the LGBTQ community, Muslims, Jews, immigrants, socialists, as was the case in Utoya. I believe that's how you pronounce it. This has been going on for years now. There's dozens of such cases. Black people, of course. Women, many of these cases are linked by previous cases of domestic violence as well. So violence against women is also like a essential part of that. This has been going on for years now. There's been dozens of these cases. We're probably talking about hundreds of victims of these cases, or probably more. There's a pattern with these things. It's all the same kind of people doing it. They all get classified as being lone wolves. They all hang out in the same online communities. They're inspired by the same right-wing commentators, from Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, to all these people, to now like libs of TikTok and all this stuff. They're all inspired by the same thing. They've all got these like similar manifestos that they're promoting. These are not lone wolves. This is an organized, ideologically linked terrorist movement that has been going on for years. It was in Norway. It was in Quebec City. It's in Christchurch, in Pittsburgh. I tweeted about this today. Pittsburgh, El Paso, Buffalo. There's dozens of other examples, including this latest example. Although I haven't heard much about the internet presence of this, the shooter in Colorado. But there's dozens of these cases now, And each and every time, these are people that are inspired by direct rhetoric coming from right-wing media, whether it's about any of these marginalized groups. And not only are they inspired by this kind of like violent rhetoric about these communities, whether it's about immigrants, there's the gay and trans panic, the grooming panic, the pedophilia panic that's going on with the LGBTQ community in right-wing media right now, whether it's about immigrants or black people or socialism or Islam or whatever. The people are inspired by this like right-wing rhetoric in the media, and each and every time, not only do these people in the media double down on this rhetoric immediately afterwards, and they don't back down, and they don't say, maybe I should have a mea culpa here, maybe I should examine my role in promoting this kind of hateful message. There's none of that accountability. They all not only double down on the rhetoric, but they also do this whole performative victimization routine where they're the victims, right? The real victim in this mass shooting is like Matt Walsh. It's libs of TikTok, because now there's people being mean to them. There's people being mean to them online after they spend their whole entire careers literally, framing these groups as being inherently dangerous to children. Immigrants are coming into your community and raping women. They're in MS-13. They're dealing fentanyl to your kids. Trans people are grooming your children. Doctors giving gender-affirming care are somehow part of some kind of mass sexualization of children or whatever grooming process. They go on and on about this every single day to these deranged audiences. And then when inevitably, especially in America, this highly armed country where it's so fucking easy to get a deadly firearm, even if you have a criminal record, as we saw in this case, and someone inevitably acts on this kind of rhetoric. Because it's not just saying, like, I don't like these groups, right? They're not just saying that. They're not just saying that. I don't like these groups. They're saying these are dangerous people. These are dangerous groups that are coming in. They're threatening your family. They're threatening your life. They're threatening your job. They're threatening your kids. And what is the message that people are supposed to have? That people are supposed to take from that? Right? And when people inevitably act on these kind of, and this rhetoric with extreme violence toward these groups, and when people, immediately people correctly point out the link between the rhetoric and the violent actions, the people spreading this rhetoric, not only do they double down on the message, but they act like they're the real victims. Act that they're the real victims in this situation, not the people that are being murdered. And it's not just the mass killings, but as we know, trans men and women are a highly disproportionate victims of violence and these kinds of terrible things as well. So we're not even talking about the mass killings. So they're not the real victims, right? But we're the real victims, the people that are spreading this kind of rhetoric. They're stealing the election and grooming our children for pedophilia. Well, let's all be respectful and vote. That's right. So I got some examples of this to take a look at. Just one sec, folks. Okay. So let's look at the media campaign. The actual media campaign that leads to this kind of violence in this particular case. That led to this Colorado Springs nightclub shooting.
You're interested in sexualizing children, and unfortunately some people are, what would you do? You might have a drag queen story hour.
If you don't see that as teetering on the edge of losing civilization, then you and I just disagree.
Pernicious and sick drag queen story hours.
Libs of
The obsession with fucking drag queens I find really strange, I gotta say. This how drag has become this hot button issue. This is not a new phenomenon. It's not, whether you're talking about drag or whether you're talking about transgender issues as well, it's not just inherently sexual. There's this weird sexualization of these things that don't have to be and are not in many cases. Just the idea that talking about drag or these drag queen story hours or anything like that, or talking about trans issues or just even giving gender affirming care to a young person is just inherently sexualizing or grooming them. That's just a complete fabrication in the first place. The obsession with drag in particular, though, is very strange. This has become such a hot button issue. Drag queen story hours. And it's not a coincidence that there was a drag brunch that was planned at this Q nightclub in Colorado Springs. It's very weird, but let's look at more of this.
TikTok, one of the most informative accounts on Twitter, and because it is so informative, it keeps getting banned.
Adult male putting on women's clothing and dancing and talking about sexual themes with other people's children.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dehumanizing.
Thank you, Goth Angle Center. And yeah, that's a big part of it also. Thank you for the 23 months of Tier 1. It isn't strange to me this is reactionaries owning in their culture war issues where there have been more acceptance in media of LGBTQ folk. I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it as well. And we've seen Red Wizard, right, how trans issues become a wedge because there's enough people that are willing to hear these kinds of messages. You see, whereas you're not going to really see anymore in the New York Times like a explicitly like anti-gay column or anything like that. But because there's this willingness, especially among liberals, to listen to things, you see this on Bill Maher, you see it in the New York Times, to listen to these kinds of like bad faith criticisms of trans issues, and there's this willingness for people to listen. That becomes this wedge that the right has now used because they know people will actually listen to this, to then go after all their other culture war issues that they feel like has slipped away from them and have become more widely accepted, which is exactly why we do need to support trans issues, because this is an explicit like project that is happening right now.
Drag queen story time.
Don't want them in preschool teaching them to twerk.
Why would any parent allow their child to be sexualized by an adult man with a fetish for kids?
A sort of pedophilic.
Oh, fuck, Lodane. Fuck. I'm sorry, Lodane. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's hear from Matt Walsh as well, the notorious critic of these pedophilic impulses, who is on record on numerous occasions defending the fucking Catholic Church. The Catholic Church. Matt Walsh cares so much about child grooming and the sexualization of children and child sex trafficking and pedophilia that he defends the fucking Catholic Church from these kinds of accusations. That's how serious this motherfucker is.
Kids.
A sort of pedophilic, predatory farm system that the groomers have set up.
They want to.
Again, this man.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
This man is, what he just said, has defended on numerous occasions the goddamn Catholic Church from accusations of pedophilia and child sex trafficking. Consider that one more time from Matt Walsh, Catholic Church defender.
A sort of pedophilic, predatory farm system that the groomers have set up.
They want to.
So that's how Matt Walsh describes the concept of gender affirming care, or describes the concept of like drag queens existing, while then promoting and supporting the fucking Catholic Church. It is an all ages drag show, sir. Jesus Christ. And hey, Antifada, thanks for stopping by. Hello. Is there a new bit patch? That is the question. I know I may have made certain promises about this, that I may not have followed through on, frankly. I may not have followed through on some of these explicit promises that I made. I may have described it as the explicit Rob Rousseau guarantee, actually, which I realize now I did not follow through on. But I will do this. Okay? I can't really go beyond the Rob Rousseau guarantee that I've already broken. But anyway, this is important, so let's continue this video. Bit badges very soon.
To sexualize children.
This is all designed to put a wedge between parents and their children.
It's up to all of us to fight back against that tooth and nail.
What's happened to us? I mean, honestly, what has happened to us?
Throw them in prison, and whenever they get out, if they do get out, put them on the sex offender registry for life.
A reckoning is coming.
If anyone here is more like Hitler, most like Hitler, one could argue, it's these people abusing children.
Most like Hitler, as we all know, folks, these Nazi book burnings that motherfuckers like Steven Crowder, ignorant pieces of shit like Steven Crowder love to talk about, targeted these exact problems. Like, these people agree. These people agree with Hitler and the Nazis about the study of gender and the study of trans issues. Just how twisted that is, that they try to kind of turn that around and to suggest that gender affirming care is kind of similar to Nazism when these people are fucking Nazis. Yes, he does always wear a gun holster because he's an extremely pathetic, sad individual who once got his fucking shit rocked by a union member, which was highly enjoyable to watch. Who knew he was going to say liberals are the real fascists? Well, that's the thing. And I'm sure Matt, or whatever his name is, Steven Crowder, is not referring to the way that liberals, in many cases, historically prop up fascism. But I would be giving them too much credit if he was making that case. No. Yeah, they say Nazis are socialists for a reason. That's right.
it's these people abusing children.
Stopping it is not a gentle or a painless process. The farther along the cancer is, the more aggressive you have to be in fighting.
People should push back against this.
Sickos.
And of course, people should arm themselves with the literature and the people, in their own words, who have advocated for this deeply disturbing sexualization of children.
Arm themselves.
Yeah, people should definitely arm themselves. I agree with that.
Arm themselves with the literature, this man says. Fucking sick. Does Matt Walsh actually live in the mountains, or is that just him LARPing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, I just want to take a look at Matt Walsh here. I'm going to go ahead and search on Twitter, Matt Walsh, Catholic. Some very interesting stuff here. Very interesting stuff that turns up in this Twitter search about Matt Walsh, defender of children, defender of the sexualization of children. Matt Walsh, who has built up a big platform, scapegoating these communities and literally inspiring right-wing extreme violence against these communities. And then afterwards doubles down on his message and portrays himself as being the victim. This guy, this is the defender of the sanctity of children, has weighed in. Where's Matt's tweets about the good old Catholic Church? I must have it in my bookmarks. But like, to say the way that this guy who defends the sanctity of children so much, defends against the sexualization of children, while talking about like female age of consent laws and when females are and are not like ready for procreation and all that kind of shit that Matt Walsh was obsessed with. He spent his whole career talking about age of consent laws and then pivoted to I protect children from being overly sexualized. Like, it's fucking preposterous. Duder does seem very fixated on these kids. These people that spend every single day talking about like what is going on with the genitalia of various kids. People like Matt Walsh that talk about this every single day of their lives, every moment. And you know who else does this as well? J.K. Rowling and folks like that who have this ideological connection, talking about the link between liberalism and fascism. But now you have Matt saying leftists are using a mass shooting to try and blackmail us into accepting the castration and sexualization of children. These people are just beyond evil. Not the people that are going into nightclubs and shooting up these communities that this guy spends all day railing against. They're not the ones that are evil. It's these leftists that are turning Matt Walsh into the victim. Turning Matt Walsh into the victim of this kind of online harassment. I've never felt more motivated to oppose everything they stand for with every fiber of my being. Despicable scumbags. People die, and the first thing they think is, yes, we can use this as ammo against conservatives who don't think children should be exposed to drag shows. Soulless demons, he says. Evil to the core, truly. That's Matt Walsh. So that's what I mean, is not only do these folks like Matt Walsh, like Tucker Carlson, not only do they double down on the extremist rhetoric about these groups following these kinds of violent incidents. Not only do they double down, but they frame themselves as being the true victims of these incidents. Because now I'm being criticized. Now I have people yelling at me and saying that I'm a stochastic terrorist. Right? And I've got to find these tweets from Matt Walsh about the Catholic Church. It's just too incredible. It's too incredible not to look at, because this guy styles himself as being this defender of against the sexualization and the sex trafficking of kids. It's truly fucking unbelievable. I'm just scrolling. This is the highly entertaining content here. Someone must have these Matt Walsh tweets. I'm sure that I saved this. This is so interesting for everyone. I know. I'm scrolling, but I've got to keep talking. That's always the tricky thing in these moments. I'm scrolling, which is not interesting for people, but I've got to continue talking the entire time, especially for our friends in the non-video community, the audio-only community, our precious chatters in the audio-only community don't want to be subject to this. Oh, fuck. I'm still scrolling. I'm positive that I saved this, but I didn't grab it ahead of time. I thought I would be able to easily Google this or search it on Twitter. I'm going to try plan B here. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. Here's Matt Walsh, who famously is just so against the sexualization of children. He's so against the sexualization of children and grooming and sex trafficking. Here's in 2018. The pedophile scandal in the Catholic Church is not a pedophile scandal. The vast majority of the victims are post-pubescent teens and young men. The real problem in the church is that everyone sees and few will say out loud, gay priests. That's Matt Walsh. That's how much he actually fucking gives a shit about the sexualization of children, the grooming of children. I'm just going to Google Matt Walsh, Catholic Church, age of consent, drag pedo in this elementary school computer real quick. Yeah. Yeah, his fans make terroristic threats against children's hospitals, and he makes himself the victim. And this also happens with this fucking cursed Libs of TikTok account, which we have example of here from Twitter user Garbage Ape. So Garbage Ape on the Chaya Raychik from Libs of TikTok says, I put stochastic terrorist, the term they've been using for months to describe me in my bio, to trigger the left. Mission finally accomplished. Then says, I've publicly disavowed violence numerous times. Have you disavowed the violence directed at me as a result of you inciting your followers against me? Let's you disavow violence. Until then, STFU, you lying hypocrite. So it's this seamless pivot to like, I'm owning the left, I'm triggering the left by constantly directing this nonstop stream of hateful harassment against like transgender teachers, children's hospitals that are providing gender affirming care, or all kinds of like innocent people that are subject to like harassment, that are subject to violence, like we've seen in Colorado, and then immediately pivoting to, oh, it's just like, I'm the victim. I am the victim here. Why are you victimizing me by talking about this? This is how these people operate. And here's here's an example from Tucker Carlson. Or, you know, while we're on the Libs of TikTok thing, you probably point out how the day after this shooting in Colorado Springs happened, immediately was out there talking about Colorado specifically and talking about all ages drag shows in Colorado specifically. I don't know if I saved that one. But I mean, here's Tucker Carlson, same day, he's been a big part of this. Immediately, the next day, he has the fucking gall to have a headline, the sexualization of children is risking lives. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the sick cycle that takes place every single time. Not only they double down on the rhetoric, they knowingly and deliberately cause violence in these communities, whether it's the transgender community, or the LGBTQ community, against immigrants, black people, Muslims. They're often victims of subjects of Tucker Carlson's quote unquote commentary or whatever it is. They incite violence against these groups. They immediately claim victimhood for having this link being drawn between their rhetoric and between these kinds of mass killings, and then instantly double and triple down on the very same rhetoric that's causing the violence, almost as if they like this. This ongoing campaign of mass violence against these communities, and do in fact want it to continue. It does kind of seem like that, doesn't it? Right? We saw the same thing. Ben Shapiro is another example of this. Ben Shapiro famously, he built a career on Islamophobia, extreme Islamophobia. Was one of the people that was most read and most watched and idolized by the mosque shooter in Quebec City. And did the exact same thing, doubled down on the rhetoric, and still claims to be a victim whenever anyone brings up this link between his rhetoric and this kind of violence. Have any of these people spoken out against child beauty pageants or what? Well, I mean, that's like, you're talking about child beauty pageants, that sexualizes children. That is like sexualizing children. That's undisputable. These people have a problem with that? No, it does not. They don't have any problem with that whatsoever. And their acolytes blame the victims of the shooting. I would like to talk a little bit about this particular horrible shooting that took place. I think in the horror of it, there's some pretty amazing elements. Like, we're talking about, these all ages family drag shows, and what kind of person would bring their family to this event, this all ages drag event? They treat this like it's some kind of horrible idea that anyone would think about bringing their family or their children to one of these shows. And in this case, the person who stopped the shooter had taken his family to see a drag show, like John Whitehouse is saying here, exactly the thing that Tucker Carlson, Matt Walsh, and Libs of TikTok have been attacking. And there's actually an interview with this man as well. And it's pretty remarkable.
Even been a window left. But I saw a lot of people, and this guy was there, and I saw the ACU pattern flag vest. And for me, that was like, there's a handle, I'm getting it. So I ran across the room, grabbed the handle, pulled him down, and then started to, actually, I think I went for his gun with him. His rifle flew in front of him. And the young man that tried to jump in there with me, we both either pulled him down or whatever, but he ended up at his head and right next to the AR. And then with the AR, I told him, push the AR, get the AR away from him. The kid pushed the AR. I don't know what his name was. And then
this man was also taken into custody by the police and held in a police car for hours after this happened, by the way. Let's also remember that.
I proceeded to take his other weapon, the pistol, and then just start hitting him where I could, but the armor's in the way. And I found a crease between his armor and his head, and I just started wailing away with his gun. And then I told the kid in front of me, kick him, keep kicking him. And I was guiding him. I was telling people, call 911, call 911. I brought him.
Yeah, the cops show up late and abuse the victims. That's America. That's right. It's a miracle the cops didn't unload their clips in him. Exactly. And you're seeing this guy who was attending a drag show with his family did more, and as well the people that are working in this club and are part of this community did more to stop this mass shooter than the hundreds of heavily armed militarized cops did in Uvalde, Texas, stopping a child mass murder taking place there. So also some lessons there about police militarization and police funding and how safe the police actually keep these communities.
I'm down. I was in mode. I was doing what I do downrange. I trained for this. I don't want to ever do this. I didn't even retire because I was done doing this stuff. It was too much, and it came in handy, and I got to protect my kid. I lost my kid's boyfriend. I tried to have everybody in there. I still feel bad that there's 5 people. There's 5 people that didn't come home. And this guy, I told him while I was hitting him, I said,
how many lives did this guy save?
Because you tried
it's unbelievable.
Friends. My family was in there. My little girl was in there with her
We are so sorry for the loss that you and your family have gone through.
You know, it's heartbreaking, but it's at the same time, it's like the brave. It's really remarkable bravery that was shown, right? I just wanted to take a moment also to remember Daniel Aston, who was a one of the bartenders at this club, a transgender man.
It may not even been a window.
You know, it was just Trans Day of Remembrance on Sunday, but I think today we should be remembering Daniel Aston, who was kind of just seemed like he was kind of just getting started in his life. I saw this tweet from Daniel, this was confirmed by ABC. I saw this tweet from Daniel, who was killed in this attack. Said every single goddamn time I even have the slightest thought of leaving Club Q, someone comes up and tells me, "You're the reason I love this bar," or "You and Derek make me feel so safe and welcome here." And I thought that was really amazing too, in the way that, you know, these communities, you know, in the transgender community, I don't want to speak over transgender people or anything like that, or pontificate on this too much, but the way that these communities and transgender folks in these communities help and protect and encourage other people, and this sense of solidarity and a community that emerges in these groups. And I thought, you know, while we're talking about this, we should take a moment to celebrate Daniel's life as well, who was killed in this attack. And like a transgender man, the exact kind of person who is constantly being attacked by people like Matt Walsh, like Tucker Carlson, or any other Steven Crowder, or any of these fucking dipshit, coward culture warriors who get paid by massive corporate conglomerates to spread this kind of hateful rhetoric about transgender people or drag shows or these other culture war issues, right? Absolute cowards, just out of human filth that do this, right? And then now you have people like Jack Posobiec, again. They're literally, like someone was saying, I hope this guy has protection because they're going to go after him for bringing his family, and that's what the right's already doing. Jack Posobiec, another actual Nazi, Jack Posobiec, is literally attacking the guy who's, with his incredible bravery, saved who knows how many lives at this club. And you have Jack Posobiec, just a piece of shit from by the way, from the Office of Naval Intelligence. He claims he's ONI. Who knows how much of that is bullshit and how much isn't. But literally criticizing the guy who displayed this kind of bravery, protecting his family and protecting people at this club. Or he says, are we just not supposed to talk about the U.S. Army major taking his family down to the local drag club for a night out? This is the real focus of the criticism from Jack Posobiec, who, again, like all these other right-wing ghouls, enjoys these attacks, likes them, promotes that kind of violence, wants the violence to continue. Like, let's be clear about what these motherfuckers are up to here. Jack Posobiec is what we call a piss jockey in the U.S. military. Yeah, they're just scumbag, just human garbage, just scumbags. Absolutely. Bumblejack, that's right. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And again, so we're focusing on Colorado Springs, but there's a larger issue here, which I've been talking about now he collected drug test samples. Okay, cool. What a cool guy. He actually has me blocked on Twitter because he's actually doesn't support free speech. There is a larger issue here. This is not an isolated incident. This is kind of what I'm getting at here. In September, Tucker Carlson was on his show saying, you need to fight back against the LGBTQ plus community and their allies no matter what the law says. And when this kind of thing happens, he's like, we have no idea why this happened. How dare you criticize me, Tucker Carlson, for suggesting this? We just watched a guy at a clip a few minutes ago saying, you need to arm ourselves with the literature about this. Like, they're not even hiding it. They're not even hiding that they're trying to promote and encourage violence, right? Also, I should say as well, people will sometimes conflate this idea. Well, if you think the right is responsible for this, well, then the left is responsible for like that congressional baseball practice shooting against these Republican politicians, or that attack on that immigration center, or the immigration detention facility where that anarchist guy was murdered trying to set off bombs at this immigration facility. And all I would say with that is, Not everything is the same. Not all kinds of violence are the same. You know, targeting these kinds of power structures versus targeting these marginalized communities are entirely different things. And in fact, if some of these cowards in the right actually targeted some of the people that were responsible for terrible things happening in our society, rather than targeting the most victimized, marginalized groups, you know, going after immigrants and fucking black people shopping in a grocery store, or gay and trans people having a night at the club, the most like innocent, defenseless people, rather than attacking actual people that have the power to wield state violence over everyone, they target these like defenseless, incredibly marginalized groups that are below them on the ladder. If they actually targeted, you know, people that had power in society, not immigrants or people praying in a mosque or people going to a gay club, but actual people that have power and have the power to wield state violence, I wouldn't probably have as much to say about it. But they don't, because they're cowards and they target people that are already the victims of marginalization, people that are the most powerless in our society, because they're fucking losers. So that's important to point out as well. But like what I'm talking about here, this is not an isolated incident. This has been there's dozens of examples of these kinds of right-wing mass killings, terroristic right-wing mass killings that have been going on for years now, right? Years. And it's the same cycle every time. It's the same right-wing media that these people are plugged into. They're the same online message boards that they're hanging out in. Very similar manifestos. They're all being celebrated in this like online extremist, like right-wing nihilistic community of weird incels. They get celebrated and turned into martyrs in these groups, and they all inspire each other. This is like it's an ongoing process. These are all ideologically linked, just as much as the fact that they get framed as being these like lone wolves. And it's the same cycle every time with right-wing media, where they encourage it, they double down on the rhetoric afterwards, and they also pretend that they're the victims afterwards. And as people pointed out, many people that carry out these kinds of like mass killings very often do have contact with the security state. Very often they're known to, they've been interviewed by the FBI. They're known to these security state actors, which adds in a whole other level of like where this organization is coming from or whether it's being encouraged in any way, which I wouldn't rule out either. Not only is it being encouraged and supported and promoted by right-wing media, I do genuinely believe that in many cases there are three-letter agencies as well that are involved in radicalizing these people and organizing them. I actually do think that that is also an element to this story. We recently had our first mass shooting here in Denmark, where an asshole went into a mall and opened fire, and as soon as the police, politicians, and the media found out he was mentally ill, they went, oh, well, there it is, and they completely ignored how he targeted Muslims and had been previously belonged to the usual group of racist social media groups, and as Rob says, we've seen the same thing with shooters in the USA. Yeah, and that's it. That's the time that everyone cares about mental illness, by the way. That's when all these folks, they want to talk about mental illness and how much of a scourge it is, despite offering no fucking actual solutions or that could confront this issue of mental illness. They obviously don't care about any of that, giving people health care or providing any of those needs as well. But that's the moment that they decide to really care about that. What worries me, this is an interesting idea too. What worries me is that they're not dismissing this one as an Antifa FBI plant hammer prostitute or whatever. Yeah, that is kind of interesting as well. They seem to be really just automatically accepting that this is like one of their people and not really feeling any shame whatsoever in that. Maybe they are getting a little bit more brazen. I think that's an interesting observation. Then you say, okay, let's tackle mental illness. They come up with 100 excuses why they can't. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Do you want like people to get free mental health, checkups via private insurance with their jobs, via, some kind of public program? Of course they don't. Of course they do not. Their solution they're applying is locking them up or killing them. That's right. The same thing as with the homeless problem. That's exactly right. That's the solution to our mental illness problem. So, this is something that since I got involved in this kind of like commentary, it's something that I've focused on a lot, because one of the first, things that happened that really started to make me pay attention to this was the shooting at the mosque in Quebec City, which was really shortly after Trump was inaugurated. And was the shooter in Quebec City was directly inspired by Trump's rhetoric about Muslims and about this whole, especially at the time, this whole industrial Islamophobic institution that was taking place in right-wing media that was an offshoot of the war on terror. So that's because it was so close to home. I live in Quebec. It was really close to home. This mass killing that was directly connected to right-wing media and directly connected to right-wing populism and people like Trump and people like Ben Shapiro. I started paying attention to this. And there's been dozens of such cases since I started paying attention to it, just as there were cases before, going back to Norway, even going back to Oklahoma City, right? This is an ongoing global right-wing terror operation. It's organized, it's ideologically linked, and it's just, for some reason, it's still not being talked about like that. It's still talked about as being this series of lone wolves, or this evidence of kind of mental health problem, right? It's an international fascist terrorist movement. That's what it is. It's really remarkable, and it doesn't get talked about this. And the very people that are responsible for promoting it and profit immensely from promoting it, just like Jack is doing here, Jack Posobiec, or just like Libs of TikTok or Tucker Carlson is doing, immediately double down on the same rhetoric and immediately claim victimhood, claim that they're the victims of this kind of thing. And this is just going to continue. This kind of shit is just going to continue. As we saw with this most recent example in Colorado Springs, the cops are not going to be of any help. The cops are probably more of a danger to these communities than they are protecting these communities. And it's just another example of why these communities need to encourage and support and promote their own protection, because it's the only thing that's going to really improve safety in these communities, is by organization from within, from the ground up, and organized kind of self-defense, because the police are not going to be the ones to do it. As we talked about with the FBI and these three-letter agencies, very often they're literally involved in the organization of these campaigns in the first place. Gretchen Felker-Markin just pointed out that the NYT printed an op-ed today by a TERF condemning it, but also both sidesing it. And in the week prior to this happening too, they also promoted some anti-trans stuff as well.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Oh my goodness, Majority Report. Thank you very much for the raid. Sam Sater, what a fucking nightmare. We were just talking about friend of Majority Report, Steven Crowder. Massive dipshit and coward, and stochastic terrorist as well. Hello, Raiders. Get in here. I'm Rob. I am a socialist Twitch streamer here in Montreal, Quebec. We're talking about right-wing stochastic terrorism today. Please smash the follow button if you haven't already. If you want to chat, if you want to join the community, go ahead and smash the follow button. Thank you for tuning in. We were just talking about how the New York Times just today is promoting this piece, condemning this issue while also both sidesing it. This piece from Michelle Goldberg saying, I think there are legitimate debates over questions like when puberty blockers should be prescribed or gender confirming surgeries performed on minors. But so there's literally, while this exact rhetoric is responsible for this kind of radicalization and this kind of right-wing violence, there's still, even from the liberal side, not only are the right doubling and tripling down on that kind of anti-trans rhetoric, but these very reasonable, centrist, liberal institutions are as well. The legitimate debates, yeah. And like Lady Cenobite said, as a trans woman, all my trans friends are discussing arming themselves and training for self-defense. I mean,
you can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
It is. Ragdijin, thank you for the gifted sub. Thank you very much. There was that whole LGB alliance thing as well. like, and again, this is just sick. This is the LGB Alliance, explicitly an anti-trans organization. Like, let's call that what it is, claiming to be like, oh, we support gay rights, we don't support including transgender rights in those rights, which is obviously a fucking just like a right-wing anti-trans organization in the hotbed of TERF activity in the UK. Says, we're horrified by the news of the mass shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs and stand in solidarity with LGB people worldwide against this senseless hatred, which is, I think, especially disgusting considering we just talked about some of the victims of this attack were transgender people. And they literally say we stand in solidarity with LGB people, but while excluding transgender people from that. It's just sickening. It's sickening. They've been using identity politics to make this reactionary anti-trans argument, and using gay rights to make this reactionary anti-trans argument. It's sickening people. In any case, this is kind of what I just, I don't know if I have much more to say about this topic. This shooting in particular was horrendous. I hope we remember and support the victims of this shooting and other victims of right-wing stochastic terrorism. And we really do need to reckon with this right-wing media problem. Like, it's not going away. It is not going away. And these people, many of them are the most free speech advocates you can possibly ask for, while simultaneously demanding that the free speech of their enemies be taken away. These are dangerous people. These are dangerous and powerful people in right-wing media that are encouraging this. They're encouraging this kind of violence. They like the violence. They think it's good. They want more of it to continue. And I'm talking about people like Tucker Carlson, Jack Posobiec, Matt Walsh, Steven Crowder. They like this kind of violent terrorism, and they think it's good, and they want it to continue. TERFs stay at the same level as Matt Walsh from however much they denounce those fascists. I mean, fucking J.K. Rowling has they have a connection with these people. They'll be like, oh, I don't support Matt Walsh on everything, and they support Matt Walsh more than they support transgender people. It's fucking sickening. But that's what I mean. This is a problem. This is a serious problem in right-wing media with this dangerous, extremist rhetoric against LGBTQ folks, women, Muslims, Jews, socialists. There's this nonstop stream of extremist rhetoric targeting these groups, immigrants, of course. It's leading to real violence. It's leading to mass murder. It's leading to a global, ideologically linked fascist terrorist movement, which is not, again, in the way that we would treat any other obvious linked campaign of mass violence. If it was being committed by Muslims, or if it was being committed by socialists or by Jews, it would be being dealt with or talked about in media, in politics. But because it's happening there's this right-wing campaign targeting these marginalized groups, it just gets allowed to continue completely unabated, and that's going to continue to be a very serious problem. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with that topic. Obviously, it's going to come up again. It'll come up again. The more this kind of thing happens, it's not going to stop anytime soon. We're not going to stop talking about the fucking evil ghouls in right-wing media that profit from this and that encourage this kind of violence. But it's been frustrating. I think just for me. Been the main through lines of if you want to call it what I do, journalism or commentary, I don't know what you would call it, but since I've been doing this kind of work, covering this global campaign of right-wing violence, and it's just not stopping, it's not stopping. So I don't know what the solution is, but it's scary. It's scary. I guess one encouraging thing is that with the amount that the right talked about trans issues and demonized trans people in the lead up to this election campaign, it doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be as big of a constituency for it electorally as they maybe thought. But, on that subject, I did see this clip from Nick Fuentes that was like acknowledging this, saying like, we are the election proves that we are the minority. We are the minority, and we just need to set up a right-wing dictatorship to ensure that others have our same reactionary views. Like people like him are openly talking about this. Yeah, this is the last clip that I'll look on this. You can take their sort of lack of electoral success in this recent election as some kind of example that things are going okay, but they're aware of this problem and they don't think they're going to let it slow them down.
You got to recognize the fact that this is a godless country. I hate it. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's heinous, it's evil, but this is an evil country. And this country will surprise you with how evil it is. And that's why you got to get this out of your head that there is some silent majority cavalry that's going to come out of the woods and save us at the last minute. It's not. When we meet the left on the battlefield and they outnumber us like 5-1, that's it. But the point is, when you look at these things like abortion, it's popular. People like abortion, hate it, but it's true. And you can thank the Jewish media for that. Abortion's popular.
Kanye is talking to this guy now, by the way.
Popular. Being gay is popular. Being a feminist is popular. Sex out of wedlock is popular. Contraceptives it's all popular. That's all. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks, and it is what it is. But that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe, or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society.
Like this guy might come out and say things that people like Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder might just imply. That's kind of what separates a Nick Fuentes from a Steven Crowder, and why he's been kind of marginalized a little bit and shunted off to this little dark corner of the internet. But like, this is, to be clear though, this is what they all believe. Like, to be clear, let's be honest with ourselves about that. That's what they believe, right? They know they're in the minority. They're aware of that, and they realize that they need to use political power and state violence to enforce their regressive reactionary views on everyone else. And they intend to do that. So let's be clear about that. Even though Nick Fuentes is like open and obvious about that, they all believe the same thing. They all believe the same thing. Listen, I've got about another less than an hour left. I was a little bit late getting started today. Might just take a short break here. A really short minute or two break here. Only learned yesterday that Ron DeSantis was literally a Guantanamo torturer. Even though Fuentes might say this outright, you better believe DeSantis believes it in his heart. I think that's a good point, Oscar. And I didn't know that shit as well. I thought DeSantis was just kind of like right-wing empty suit. I did not realize the role that he had played in like carrying out actual torture in Guantanamo and being part of the war on terror. Like, that is fucking scary. That is scary. And Fallujah as well. Jesus Christ. I really thought he was just some corporate right-wing empty suit. Yeah, until recently. Listen, I'm just going to take a 5-minute break. This has been some heavy subject matter. I would like to maybe just do a little reset. We can talk about what's been going on with Elon Musk. What else did I have in my stream title here? There was something else that I'm leaving out. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about Canadian journalism as well, one of my favorite subjects.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to
thank you
talk
very much,
through all
Comrade
this.
Social Distancing, for the 3 gifted subs. And I will just say as well, folks, that I was not able to stream yesterday. I was not feeling well and just couldn't really do it. I will not be streaming this week, Thursday or Friday either, because my kid doesn't have school for what if I'm not even sure why, but he doesn't. So I'll be taking care of him. So really, this stream is only today and tomorrow, this week. I'm quiet quitting. That's right. So if you have considered subscribing to this channel before, or if you're saying, oh, I will on Thursday or Friday or whatever, there will be no streams. Ideally, it would be really wonderful to be able to fill out the good old sub goal today and tomorrow, considering it's the only time that I'll be streaming this week. I'm just throwing that out there. That if you do want to subscribe to this channel, you could do so. It costs $5 per month. Or you can use your Twitch Prime sub to subscribe completely free of charge. Get all of the wonderful emotes in this channel. So you can support the work that I do here on Twitch, support the community, join the community. It's a wonderful community. I think, in my opinion, it's the best community anywhere on the internet, on Twitch or Twitter or Tumblr or Hive or Truth Social or Discord. What have you. So if you have been considering subscribing to the channel, I encourage you to please do so. It's very, very helpful. I'm just going to leave this on the screen. I'm going to take a short break here. And I will be back in a few minutes. We can talk about some more.
You've just become an
stuff.
elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Gen X Bushy, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Gen X Bushy, for the 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't sub, Matt Damon will call you a coward. Fortune favors the brave, folks. One of our bravest community members, Gen X Bushy. Fortune favors the brave. Fortune will indeed favor you as well, Gen X Bushy. Thank you. Okay, so I'll be back in just a moment, okay? Don't go anywhere.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
History is filled with almosts. With those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit. And in these moments of truth, these men and women, these mere mortals, just like you and me, as they peer over the edge, they calm their minds and steel their nerves with 4 simple words that have been whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans.
It's awesome time!
That's a wrap, baby.
History is filled with almosts. With those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit. And in these moments of truth, these men and women, these mere mortals, just like you and me, as they peer over the edge, they calm their minds and and steal their nerves with 4 simple words that have been whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans.
It's awesome
That's a wrap, baby.
History is filled with almosts, with those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit. And in these moments of truth, these men and women, these mere mortals, just like you and me, as they peer over the edge, they calm their minds and steel their nerves with 4 simple words that have been whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans.
It's awesome
That's a wrap, baby.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
History is filled with almosts, with those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit.
What the fuck?
And in these moments of truth, these men and women,
What is this ad?
these mere mortals, just like you and me,
Some kind of remix. Some kind of remix here. Keep playing it. Some people wanted to continue. Maybe I should just keep playing this until that old goal fills up. You know? And by the way, thank you so much to Tartan Wanderer for the gifted sub. And thank you so much to Squatch Drew. Squatch, thank you. The 10 gifted subs. Thank you, Squatch. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you, Dimitri, as well, for the 100 friend coin. Thank you. Thank you, Dimitri. Keep going until we all experience ego deaths. I think we can at least do a couple more times, right? And listen, if you want it to stop, we all know how that's going to happen.
history is filled with almosts, with those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit.
You know what I really should? There must be some. There must
count
be
on
some.
me. You're gonna have good old Rob
AI
to talk you through all this.
That I could make it that Matt's mouth moves in with the words that Dad is doing right in this image. There must be a way I can do that. There must be. They couldn't
We
get
simply
McConaughey
use
for
the
this.
computer
No, they
to mark up the size of the account.
History is filled with almosts.
That's right, G. Kleppy.
And in these moments of truth, these men and women,
you've just become an elite member
these
of the friendship triangle.
Mere mortals, just like you and me, as they peer over the edge, they calm their minds, steel their nerves,
and that's it. It's finished.
With 4 simple words that have been whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans. Fortune favors the brave.
I love to on the ad, it like shows Mars. Like, Matt, you're not an actual astronaut. You've never been to Mars. That was just in a film. I guess it's a reference to Elon as well. Thank you so much, Subversive History. Thank you, Subversive History.
You can
Another
count on
great
me. You're
streamer
gonna have
that
good
everyone
old
should watch.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Subversive History, for the 3 gifted subs. And thank you also to G. Kleppy for the 200 friend coin. And thank you to Lexi Rose, for the 5 gifted subs. Very much appreciate the 5 gifted subs, Lexi. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ragdigen, for another gifted sub as well. There we go. Thank
We
you.
simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
You sick bastard. You played it after we even met your blackmail. You monster. Lol.
I'm sorry, Dimitri. Thank you for the 200 friend coin. I'll play it again. I will play it again. Don't test me. Don't test me. You want me to play it again? I can play it again. If we're going to start with the criticism. Okay? I will turn this goddamn stream around. You were relatively quiet versus the notifications in Matt Damon. I've noticed that before with the notifications as well. That's probably something that I should try and fix. At some point, I will do this. At some point, I will fix this. Anyway, thank you very much, folks. I'll just put on some more tune music here. While this hype train's going on, you know, we might as well keep that going. Maybe I'm old, but I'm just curious how to get my chat messages read aloud by that AI. You do so by gifting 200 friend coin and above. And I know there's a way to do it when gifting subs, but honestly, I don't know how. I don't know how to do that, is to gift subs and have the message, which some people are able to do. And I've before in the past, I've tried to do that on other streams and I've not been able to. But we do have a hype train still going on, folks. We could theoretically get to level 5 of the hype train. I won't play the ad anymore. Okay, I won't play the ad, but I will just keep going until this hype train's finished, and then we can move on to other chatting. A classic damn news segment or a classic group chat segment. I would have loved knowing how to get some voice in while gifting subs. Yeah, if you seriously, comrade social distancing, you could have had a whole manifesto being spoken aloud by now. I think when you resub, okay, so when you resub, you can do it. Maybe you can't when gifting subs. Maybe that's not a thing. Is that not a thing? Maybe it's not. I don't know. I have no idea how this platform works, frankly. I'm barely just scratching the surface of understanding this bizarre world. Ugh.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Resub message Bunwell.
Well, thank you, Iron Forward. Thank you for the 24 months. And Iron
use
Forward
the computer to mark up the size of the account.
I'm so sorry, Lexi. It has to be 200 and above. I believe I did specify that.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
I believe I did specify that it does have to be 200 and above. But thank you, Lexi Rose, for the 100 friend coin. Thank you, Iron Forward, for the 500 friend coin as well.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
You can do it on the resub.
There we go. Matt,
We
thank you for the
simply
15 months
use the
tier 1.
computer to mark up the size of the account.
Very much appreciated.
Who is that handsome fella on screen inviting chat to be part of a friendship triangle? It's up to you to decide who I'm talking about. Left of right bun pausers.
Thank you, Useless, for the 500 friend coin as well. Thank you. I believe that's Ben Affleck. That's right. It is Ben Affleck. Hollywood actor Ben Affleck. Correct. So Iron Forward, you should have, okay, I guess for some reason you don't have the 24-month sub badge, but you should. That was your 24-month resub, which I very much appreciated. There is a highly exclusive, highly exciting 24-month badge now that some people have, but for some reason you don't have it. I got it, but I'm showing the founder badge. There we go. There we go. Even more highly exclusive. Truly
We simply
an elite member of this
use the
community.
computer to mark up the size of the account.
Testing pouting.
Thank you, Lexi, for the 300 friend coin. Now you could have used that. You could have used that that was your platform. That was your moment. That was your moment. You could get whatever message you got out there. You could have had it. but thank you very much for the 300 friend coin. Irate Lump is 1 month away. I really think it's really cool that they're starting to see more of those 24-month badges. Very cool. I can't wait for Matt Damon to make it his life's mission to hunt down Sam Bankman to get his money back. It is truly amazing that the Matt Damon ad and the sophisticated pills, you are close, you're at 22 months. It really is amazing that the Matt Damon ad and the Larry David ad and the Tom Brady ad were all FTX. It's really fucking amazing. And they were all at like the Super Bowl. It's truly fucking remarkable. Larry David was right. That's right. That's how he managed to escape culpability. He's in the ad. He took the money from FTX, certainly, which is ostensibly to promote their product. But in the ad, Larry David is himself saying like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. He was correct. He was correct to say that. Has he commented on it? I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about it. Makes sense that they'd have all the stars if it was a deep state money laundering operation. You would like to think maybe they were in on it, though. Not poor Tom Brady, because he's one of the world's most successful athletes in history, but is like literally playing another season at 45 years old and losing his family in the process because of his association with this shit. He's part of the class action lawsuit. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Even though he's in the ad advising the people do make this investment, he's still in the ad promoting FTX. And remember the really evil and insidious thing as well. The evil and insidious thing about this ad, particularly the Tom Brady one, when you see Tom Brady like that I'm in ad. We can actually look at it again, even though we looked at it like a week or two ago. I think it's worth checking out again. And when it shows all the people that are being targeted by this ad, all the working class people, that I think is the really evil and insidious thing, way more so than the Larry David ad.
Can I talk to you about something?
Yeah, we talked about it. I got another 10 years left. Maybe 15.
Not that. This is big. What do you think? Are you in?
You know what? I'm in. Let's call everyone.
Hang on a minute.
And he's calling. Who's he calling? He's calling firefighters. Restaurant workers.
I'm in. Whatever.
Who's that?
That was my mom.
Hey, don't eat that.
Yo, what's up? Yeah.
Dog walkers. You know, this is the kind of insidious thing here. Is that I think you can and should criticize the celebs that were involved in this grift, the people at the top of the food chain, like the people that are responsible for these big Ponzi schemes, but like. And we can laugh at the crypto bros that have been, lecturing us about how fucking genius they are while just losing everything. We can kind of laugh at that. But these ads at the Super Bowl, and I understand why this class action lawsuit exists, it's targeting working class people. It's saying like, this is how we're in a country where everyone's material conditions are getting worse, right? Pay is going down, inflation going up, healthcare more expensive, education more expensive. Housing, prohibitively expensive. Everyone's material conditions is getting worse. And then these big, high, multi-billion-dollar slick marketing campaigns drop to show like working class people, look at this cool app you can get, this new futuristic way of making more money. And you can have more security. You can have more financial security. You can be like one of these big celebs like Tom Brady. He's doing it, right? All these big celebs are doing it. You can be like one of them. And you can have financial security. You'll be able to afford housing. You'll be able to afford this stuff. That's the really evil thing about these ads. This fucking thing that's a giant scam. Yeah. Yeah, you can have financial security. You won't even have to work for it. That's right. You just get this cool app. It's like easy. You just get it. You buy our fake money, and then we turn it into more fake money, and then you take that fake money and turn it into fiat currency. It's easy. And like, that's the really scary, that's the really insidious thing about these ads, I think, is the way it's targeting, deliberately and specifically targeting working class people.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm in.
I'm in. Hey, Arthur, I quit.
Restaurant workers. Like, it's fucking restaurant workers. Yeah, I'm sure Tom Brady is friends with all kinds of these folks. Yeah, I really hope we get an ad like this for Candace Owens' anti-woke bank. It's already closed. It already does not exist anymore.
I'm in.
T-Bone, is it the downstairs toilet again?
Hello, Tom. Doggy coin? Sue, Mark.
Are you in? I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in. All right, this last one might be tough.
Nah, he loves you.
Probably just getting another dentist. This guy. First, even if you wanted to come back, we wouldn't take you.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, we would.
You're right, we would. What's up?
I'm getting into crypto. With FTX. You in?
What providing gives 360-degree access to the crypto markets with the ability to trade everything from alts to DeFi. I believe I'm in, but still hate you.
Understood.
Take care. Best of the family.
Is he in?
Yep.
Did he say he hates you?
He did.
Even on the phone, that guy sounds handsome.
Very slick. And as I pointed out last time, who could have known this was a scam? Like, look at this fucking ad. The most trusted way to buy and sell Dogecoin, NFTs. You know, all these very real financial products. These very real, solid financial investments. Dogecoin, NFTs, all this fake bullshit. Unbelievable. And it's being pitched and targeted to working class people and people whose material conditions have been impacted by, this kind of late stage hellish neoliberal capitalist system, which is in this ongoing process of collapsing on itself, being pitched as this easy and fun and futuristic way to improve your conditions, improve your material conditions. Total scam. Just a fucking a blatant Ponzi scheme. The most trusted way to buy NFTs. Just not so sure about selling. Yeah, that's right. Send me $50. I'll send you an email saying you're a zillionaire. It's there's probably a market for that. Pretty freaky stuff, I think. I think I have a bookmark thing about this as well. Oh, one more thing though before we're just talking about the anti-woke bank. It's already gone. Like the grifts are just like they're getting shorter and shorter lifespans. The anti-woke bank is being shut down. Failed to secure more funding. Finally, the right was going to have a bank that was not woke. One of these progressive woke banks. Finally, it was their moment. Where's that Candace Owens video of this? She did a whole fucking commercial for it. Ah. It is funny though the way that Candace Owens, like, not only was she's like one of the ultimate fucking grifters in this scene now, selling, like, getting people to invest in this anti-woke bank, also helped convince Kanye to buy Parlay, to give literally her husband millions of dollars to have a controlling interest in Parlay, the social media app. Just fucking shameless. The right-wing social media app. It rules that the only remaining frontier to exploit in the economy is the ever-innovative scam. I mean, it is very American, isn't it? It is very American. There's no one more American than the scammer, right? The con man, the grifter, the confidence scheme. This is what America is built on. America is founded by these people. It's built by these people. Everything about America is a scam. I'm such a dingus, I've been calling it parlor. Well, that's what I was calling it as well. I was calling it parlor, and then I got corrected. The carpetbagger, that's right. Let me see if I can find that ad. Why is it so hard to find this? Well, I don't care that much, but she wasn't an ad for this anti-woke bank. I'm going to do one more search for anti-woke bank. Maybe they removed the ad. But who cares? Who cares? Who cares, folks? I think I did have something but Sam Bankman-Fried on this as well. Oh, and I got a great video to end the day with as well. Do I? Fuck. Here, while we're talking about FTX and how was that big FTX grift and all the celebs that were involved in that, here's this clip about involving the naming rights for Miami Arena.
The Miami Herald reported that it's a 19-year deal. I know you might not be sharing the duration, but people look at that, and FTX is a company that didn't exist 4 years ago. I mean, how can a 19-year deal be safe for such a new company? I remember a few years back in college sports, there was something called the Bitcoin Bowl, and it had a crypto sponsor. It was supposed to be a 3-year sponsorship, and then the sponsor had to pull out after 1 year. How can you guarantee the county, we're good for 19 years?
Yeah, I totally hear you on that, and it's a good question. And I mean, without going into the details, it's been a pretty good year for us, and to the point where, frankly, we don't need to rely on the other 18 years, to have the funds for this. So we've got it's been a phenomenal year for a number of businesses, and for the crypto industry in particular, and then I think us even more so. And so that's given us a pretty big cushion.
It's scams all the way down. It is scams all the way down. I really enjoy seeing these clips of Sam Bankman-Fried from just like a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. It's so interesting, especially seeing those. You talk about those FTX ads from the Super Bowl very recently, or seing interviews that this guy's been doing. It's
What's going on
amazing.
with Sam Bankman-Fried? In just the past 5 years, Sam Bankman-Fried went from buying his first Bitcoin to becoming a multi-billionaire. The FTX founder is now worth an estimated $11 billion. He could have bought that Jordan jersey if he wanted to. His exchange is now worth $32 billion, and it brought in about $1 billion in revenue just last year. CNBC's Kate Rooney has more on the CEO's rise to the top of the crypto industry. They call him the JP Morgan of crypto, right?
Yeah, the Michael Jordan of crypto, if you will. Sam Bankman-Fried has really played a key role in the crypto industries. Just the role in the industry this year in general, Andrew, he spent hundreds of millions of dollars to bail out struggling companies facing bankruptcy, liquidity issues, you name it. The CEO, though, lives a relatively understated life for a billionaire. He drives a Toyota Corolla to FTX's offices In the Bahamas, he lives with 10 roommates and a golden doodle named Gopher. Sometimes sleeps under his desk on a beanbag chair as well. I sat down with Bankman-Fried outside of FTX's headquarters to talk about his role as the industry's lender of last resort.
We only had a few days to make some of these decisions. What we basically came to believe was the following. The first was that, if possible, it would be extremely valuable to the ecosystem to backstop some of these places. First of all, it's just backstopping customers and making sure they're protected. But second
Also,
of all,
to be clear as well, like we looked at the ad with Tom Brady, there's zero separation from this news hit versus an ad for FTX. Zero separation whatsoever. One, you have a slickly produced ad campaign starring all these celebs, and here you have a slick news media promotion, which is 100% just promoting the company, promoting him, promoting the idea of crypto in this scam economy. Zero actual effort or to do journalism, to look into this company, look at the numbers, look at whether this guy's legitimate. Not whatsoever. It's 100% an ad camp. Like, this is another offshoot of their ad campaign.
stopping contagion from spreading through the ecosystem, right? Stopping it from being the case that anyone who transitively did business with any chain of people who did business with one of the troubled assets themselves became troubled. And then the secondary goal was maybe there are good trades to do. Maybe there's an investment or acquisition that can be done at, terms that we'd be excited about, given the sort of need for capital right now.
It's all
but
gibberish.
That was
also.
usually not the standard we're able to hold ourselves to. In
yes,
practice,
huge pet
the
peeves when the
standard
media
was,
buys into this idea of the
do we
humble
feel
billionaire.
okay about this from
Original being Warren Buffett, that fucking freak. He had not only the humble billionaire, but the altruistic billionaire. He's giving millions of dollars to charity. Whether it's Bezos, whether it's this guy, or even Elon Musk. Like, he's saving the world. He's doing this incredible green technology, promoting this idea that not only are they humble and hardworking, but they have these altruistic designs. They want to help the world. They want to help society. Complete fucking nonsense. Complete bullshit.
a financial perspective? Like, does this look
millions of
at least
dollars
mediocre? Yeah. Like not a huge loss in expectation, maybe a gain in expectation, hopefully, maybe not, was sort of the bar that something had to cross.
Yeah, the media just being stenographers for grifters and cops. When did this happen? And Subversive History says, after reading Inventing Reality the entire fucking time. I really got to read that one. I can't find a copy of it anywhere. But yes, being stenographers, not just for these big financial institutions, but the security state especially. That's something that I did want to talk about today that I don't think I have time for. These Canadian journalists that they go and hang out at the Halifax Security Forum or whatever it is, where all their masters in the security state just tell them what to write and believe, and then they go on and dutifully, they write down their little notes and they go write their little articles and just repeat the talking points that they've been given. It's really remarkable. And these fucking losers in Canadian media, they treat it like Woodstock or something going to this thing. It's their favorite time of year.
In order for us to feel comfortable, intervening there. And often we just weren't sure. Like, you look at a lot of these cases, they had 4 days before they're going to file bankruptcy. And so we had 4 days to do all of the diligence we could on the company, learn everything about it, understand the industry, their business, their customers, understand how we thought things were going to unfold, and then make a judgment call and wire money. I think the Voyager case is sort of an interesting one there. What we ended up doing was extending a sort of two-piece line of credit. And the first was 70 million. And that 70 million was money they could just draw on immediately. No
They did a wonderful
strings
job.
attached.
Yeah.
And
This
we
was
knew
2
we
months
might
ago,
lose
by
that.
the way.
Then there's a
2 months
larger
ago.
line of credit, which
September
would eventually
16th.
have
This
potentially
was not
plugged
5 years ago.
our best guess at the time as to what the complete whole
Incredible.
was. But which had conditions on it. If there's just an immediate run on the bank here and the business is just going belly up and there's nothing we can do to actually save this, like, we don't want to just keep ignoring through it. We very well may lose that 70 million. I don't know if we're seeing it again. And so be it. Like, we understood that risk going in.
Do you still have enough cash if you needed to do another bailout?
Yeah, we did. And we tried to keep
Enough cash if you need.
And so be it. Like, we understood that risk going in.
Do you still have enough cash if you needed to do another bailout?
Yeah, we did. And
Oh, yeah. 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 This is when Lodane asked me, did you do the bit badges? You promised you were going to do bit badges. And I go, yeah. It's like, he's even doing the Kappa face. It's true. Yeah, just total bullshit. It's unbelievable. This guy's being promoted like this. Right? Again, this was 2 months ago. This was not 5 years ago. This was 2 months ago. And I think the last thing, while we're talking about this scam economy business, is that we should just take a look at this. Where we're talking about Elon and Twitter and everything. Like Tesla is the ultimate example of the scam economy, right? It's got everything. It's like it's made Elon the richest man in the world. It's Silicon Valley. It's part of this. It's the promise of this cool futuristic technology that's going to save the world, which was always based on a fucking total lie. It's this massively overvalued company that produces not that much stuff that is not profitable. But look at this, like Tesla stock. This is the ultimate example of this economy being fake, right? Tesla stock is now down 49% since Elon Musk offered to buy Twitter in April, losing over $500 billion in market valuation. Just in the 3.5 weeks since Musk took over Twitter on October 28th, Tesla stock is down 27%, losing $190 billion in value. Let's answer this question, or let's ask this question rather. You know, in a real economy, in a non-scam economy, when a company loses $500 billion in market valuation, loses $500 billion in value, while not actually having a big difference in the products that it's creating or selling. Like there's no actual anything happening with the Tesla inventory or their ability to sell products that is doing this. It's all just like, oh, the number is now down. The number has just gone down $500 billion. It's all based on scams. It's all a scam. It's all bullshit. Elon Musk is the ultimate scam artist, which is amazing because he was able to look at Sam Bankman-Fried and be like, no, I don't want to be involved in this guy. He's obviously a bullshitter. That's saying something about how much of a bullshitter that guy is. But the whole economy is based on a scam. The whole thing. It's all a scam. It's an entirely scam economy. It's all fake and it's all collapsing, right? It's not just Tesla. It's Amazon losing valuation, firing thousands of workers, Meta firing thousands of workers, those other Silicon Valley companies, the e-scooter companies and all these things, right? It's all in this process of collapse right now. Who knows if we've crossed the Rubicon or crossed the tipping point or whatever, where it really starts to speed everything up. But people are confused that finance people couldn't see that crypto is a scam, but it's like, look at all the bullshit they pretend is real every day. Yeah, like a lot of these people are investing in like Theranos and these other fraudulent companies. Like, you know, it's all collapsing. It's all on the verge of collapse right now. It's all in the process of this ongoing collapse. It really is 2000. New metal is back. The dot-com bubble number 2 is bursting. Yeah, there we go. We're bringing it back. It's nostalgia. It's nostalgic cool. Now's a good time to invest. You got to buy the dip. You got to buy the dip. I guess that'll do it for today, folks. And remember, the most stable investment you can make, the most stable non-scam investment that you can make is in FriendCoin or in membership of the wonderful Friendship Triangle community. As you know, as you all know, you buy that dip and I won't let you down. I'm not a scammer. I'm not a grifter. I'm one of the good ones. You can trust me. Okay? I promise. I have 335k cloud points that keep going up. The line just keeps going up. It keeps going up, folks. It's just going to happen indefinitely. It's going to keep going up indefinitely. You know what else is coming back as well, though? Not just new metal, not just .com scams, not just economic collapse, but also not just we're talking about musical genres, also sort of post-punk influenced electronic tinted indie rock dance music as well, which if you're interested, you can check out I put out a single, folks. I put out a new single on the Bandcamp page that I just linked in the chat. It's been a weird and kind of stressful process, dipping a toe back into writing and creating music and releasing it for people. It's scary to me to do, but if you want to hear my song that I released on Bandcamp, it's called Tech Noir. It very much is a reference to that kind of like mid-2000s sound, which was also heavily influenced by the early 80s and post-punk and that kind of stuff. Please check that out if you want to. I actually tweeted about it and let people know that it existed. It's scary and intimidating for me to get back into this, but I am proud of this track. I got more tracks as well that I'll probably eventually release. And you can listen to it there on the Bandcamp page, hurstwood.bandcamp.com. That's my musical project. So I thought I might as well talk about it. Put it in the Discord. I finally tweeted about it. Tech Noir was the bar from Terminator. That's right, it was. That's where it was. That's where I got the name from. Glad you're doing it again. Thank you. I appreciate that. I got more songs. We'll see how comfortable I am with actually releasing more of this stuff. But for now, there's one. There's one on the Hurstwood Bandcamp page. You can find it there at the link I dropped in the chat. Okay, so who do we got? Lodane mentioned who we got here. We got Dan. Wildebeest. And who else? Left Flank Bets. Okay, so raid initiated. I'm gonna go ahead and raid Left Flank Bets. In fact, I talked to Marcus about my music career too. He might be interested to hear this new stuff as well. Actually, no, I played it for Marcus. He liked it. I was happy. I got some positive feedback on this from Marcus, from our friend Bleep Blomp Ben, a number of people. I feel pretty confident about this one. The people that I've shared it with seem to have really enjoyed it, so. Hurstwood and Brock Winthrop split EP. I don't know who that is, but I will consider it. I have no idea who that is. Thanks for everything as always, Rib. My pleasure. Subversive History. Everyone make sure to watch the Subversive History stream as well. Yeah, I'm not sure that split EP is going to be happening, but I appreciate the recommendation. So thanks again, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow it's a short stream week, so I'll be back tomorrow. I look forward to talking to you then. Got plenty more to get into. Give Left Flank Vets my regards, and I'll talk to you soon. I love you. Goodbye.